Under the scorching, blistering sun of the African savanna, everything seemed to hold its breath. The bright golden grass swayed in the wind, hiding the harshest laws of nature. There, Sarah stood alone, small and fragile, facing a creature born to dominate. Less than 10 paces away, a massive male lion named Zura loomed closer. Weighing nearly 200 kilograms with powerful muscles rippling under a coat of golden fur, he was the embodiment of primal strength. According to every biological law, this was the moment of a hunt. Zura's sharp amber eyes locked onto Sarah, and the air felt thick with tension. Yet, in that terrifying silence, a question greater than instinct emerged. Does the heart of a predator have room for compassion? Can time and distance erase the bond between two species? This was not a fantasy movie, but a testament to a promise forgotten for 5 years, beginning with an act of kindness that changed the fate of both forever. Their story did not begin with majesty, but with a dying breath. 5 years ago, on a day when the heat could sear skin, Sarah, then a young conservation volunteer, was surveying a dry riverbed near the northern border. Amidst the cracked mud and the oven-like heat, she saw a small pale yellow spot gasping for air. It was Zura, a lion cub only a few weeks old, left behind by his pride after a brutal migration caused by drought. Zura did not look like a future king then. He was tiny, severely dehydrated, and so weak he could no longer call for his mother. His dull gaze stared into space, as if he had accepted his fate to be buried by the dust of the plains. Sarah knew that, by the laws of nature, she should not intervene. But when she gently touched the shivering little body, a strange current of empathy ran down her spine. She did not see a wild beast. She saw a soul desperately pleading for life. The decision to bring Zura to the rescue center completely changed Sarah's life. The first few weeks were a sleepless battle. She had to use a dropper to put every milliliter of milk into his dry mouth, staying up all night to warm the small creature convulsing with fever. Sarah named him Zura, meaning a radiant beginning. Gradually, her devotion created a miracle. Zura began to stand firm on his chubby legs, and instead of growling, he made soft vibrating purrs whenever Sarah approached. On sunny afternoons on the porch, Zura would rest his head on Sarah's boots, listening to her read her journal like a child listening to a lullaby. Between them, there was no training of a master and pet, but a silent presence, an understanding that transcended all language barriers. Sarah gave Zura a chance to live, and in return, the lion cub taught her that compassion has no limits, even in the harshest place on earth. Time passed on the savanna as fast as the shadows of clouds racing across the grass. Zura was no longer the weak cub of the past. He grew rapidly, his legs became sturdy, and his soft fur gave way to a powerful golden mane. Sarah noticed the change not just in his physique, but in Zura's eyes. He began to spend hours looking toward the misty blue mountains on the horizon, ears pricked to the distant roars of wild prides echoing in the night. The great instinct of a king was awakening, and Sarah understood that this small home had become a cramped cage for him. It was a painful truth that anyone who loves a wild creature must face. True love is not possession, but returning the right to live according to one's nature. Sarah began preparing for a separation she knew would leave a large scar in her heart. She did not train Zura to be a pet, but silently awakened his survival instincts. She hid food in bushes so he could practice tracking, encouraged him to race across the hot sand, and taught him to be wary of strange sounds. Every time she saw Zura roar mightily, Sarah's heart tightened. She was nurturing him only to lose him forever. The fateful day finally arrived under the ancient baobab tree, where the shade stretched out like a silent goodbye. Sarah removed the final collar, the only physical symbol of their connection. She did not say goodbye, because that word was too heavy. She only whispered into Zura's ear, "Go find your kingdom, Zura. You belong to this sky of freedom." Zura stood still before the open gate of the reserve. He looked at Sarah one last time, his amber eyes holding a strange understanding, like a silent thank you for all she had sacrificed. Then, without looking back, Zura leaped into the tall grass, disappearing into the horizon like a ghost of the wind. Sarah stood still in the vast space, Zura's warmth still lingering on her hands, but his soul now belonged to the savanna. She returned to the busy city life, but a part of her heart was forever left under the shadow of that baobab tree. 5 years passed since the day Sarah let Zura walk into the evening shadows of the plains. She returned to the hectic pace of America, where skyscrapers blocked the view and engine noises replaced the rustling of leaves. But whether in a crowd or the silence of her small apartment, her mind never left Africa. Whenever she saw a ray of golden sun on the street, she wondered, did Zura survive the droughts? Did he find a pride to belong to? Or was he fighting alone to protect his territory? That longing often met with cold splashes of reality. When Sarah shared her hope of seeing Zura again, she often received pitying shakes of the head. Wildlife experts and practical friends offered cold advice. Stop hoping, Sarah. That is a lion. Its brain has been reprogrammed for killing and survival. In the wild, kindness has no survival value. They said Zura forgot her the moment he smelled his first prey, and if she returned, he would not see a mother, but only an easy meal. Western society worships logic, and logic says a wild beast has no room for sentimentality. However, Sarah possessed a type of strength that logic could not explain, the persistence of faith. She felt an invisible string pulling her back, a call from deep within her soul that she called the fragility of belief. She did not return to possess Zura again, but to prove to herself that the kindness she planted was never in vain. Finally, Sarah decided to use all her savings and pause her work to undertake a journey that everyone called crazy. A long flight halfway across the world brought her back to the land of sun and wind. Sitting in a jeep bouncing over red dirt paths, her heart tightened with every mile. She was afraid. She feared the skeptics were right. She feared facing a soulless pair of eyes, or, worse, the total absence of Zura. But amidst those many fears, a small spark still burned. The belief that true love never disappears. It only hides waiting for a name to wake up. The jeep stopped by a lonely acacia tree where shadows stretched across the parched ground. From afar, a majestic figure appeared. It was a massive male lion with a dark, regal mane, bearing the scars of survival battles. It was Zura. But Zura was no longer the shivering cub in the rain. He was a true king of the savannah. Sarah stepped out of the car, an act that defied every safety rule and common logic. The space suddenly became so quiet that the wind could be heard whistling through the dry grass. Zura froze in the distance, his sharp amber eyes staring at the small woman standing alone in his territory. He began to sniff the air, his nose twitching as if trying to find a piece of memory buried under 5 years of road dust. And then, a miracle happened. Zura's cold gaze suddenly shifted. His tensed body gradually relaxed, replaced by the demeanor of a child finding a loved one. Zura began to run towards Sarah, but it was not the pounce of a predator. He rushed forward with an uncontrollable, intense joy, leaping up and embracing her. Zura rubbed his head against Sarah's neck, struggling to make soft purring sounds, the sounds Sarah had not heard for half a decade. Sarah burst into tears, her trembling hands tightly clutching his thick mane. That moment was the most powerful answer to all doubt. It proved that sincere kindness is a universal language that can pierce the shell of the fiercest instincts. Sarah left the next day with a heart full of peace. She did not take Zura home, because she understood he belonged to this free sky. Their story reminds us that kindness is never wasted. It is a seed that grows silently, creating bonds stronger than the harshest laws of nature.